I walked over to the basement door and opened it, looking down into the black abyss with which I was very familiar with. I pushed my blonde hair out of my eyes so I can see the steps carefully, making sure I don't trip. Can you believe it was 3 years ago today when I met you? Seems like such a long time, doesn't it, Patrick? I reached the bottom of the steps and reached my hands up, searching for the beaded chain that will turn the light on. My hands roamed the air for a few seconds before I feel the cold metal chain touch my fingers. I grab hold of it and pull it down. As soon as I do, light floods into the room from the fluorescent lights that hang on the ceiling. My basement was not furnished. It was simply a place where we stuffed our unwanted junk. Being that it was huge, it held garbage from at least 20 years ago. We had lived here all our lives, and the basement could tell our life story. I looked at the broken dolls and toys that lay by the stairs, things from my childhood, too broken to play with anymore, but too cherished to even dare throw out. I stepped over the pile of dolls with no heads and pushed past the rocking horse that's head was broken in half, covered in a dark brown stain that contrasted with the rest of its white body. I used to ride the horse like there was no tomorrow. Did you see the picture of me on it when I was a baby? It's on the mantel. I'll show it to you later. I walked past the shelves of unstuffed teddy bears and moved towards the pile of clothes. As you may have noticed, my mother is a hoarder. I don't think she has thrown anything out that I've ever used. She's kept every toy, every shoe, every item of clothing. I'm surprised there's not an amount of used tissues that we have to climb over. I pushed through the piles of red and black clothing from my childhood. Only red and black. I never wore any other colors. They just didn't suit me like red and black did. But red was my favorite. Most of my dolls used to wear red dresses. The teddy bears would wear red ribbons and I would wear red outfits to match. It was just such a bright, intoxicating color. I stepped in front of the rack that held my clothes from middle school. I pushed a few aside until I found the outfit I was looking for. It was a sleeveless red dress with black polka dots all over it. Around the middle was a silk black ribbon that tied in the back. I pulled it off the hanger and hung it in the air. Do you remember this? I wore it when I first met you 3 years ago. You probably wouldn't remember. You boys are so forgetful. I wonder if it still fits. I undid the buttons in the back and slowly slipped it over my head. A bit snug, but I could still wear it, just for you. I pushed back the rack of clothes and maneuvered my way through the towers of boxes. Do you remember the day we first met? It was 3 years ago today. The first day of school. My first day of public school. I didn't know a soul. And then I saw you. You were wearing a blue button-down shirt, a pair of khaki pants. You looked so handsome. I stopped at the box marked with a red P. I pulled it from beneath other boxes marked with 18 other red letters. I picked it up and moved it farther down the basement. I couldn't keep my eyes off you. You were so handsome. Your blonde hair was combed to the side. Your bright green eyes filled with excitement when you saw your friends. You were so full of life. So full of joy. I had to talk to you. I had to be your friend. I knew you would treat me differently than the other kids. I was now facing a dusty brick wall, covered in dried up mud. The end of the basement. I couldn't go anywhere. Oh, nowhere to go. But down. I grabbed the shovel lying against the wall. I had put it there when I was 5, just in case I might need it. And I always did need it on certain days. I placed the box down on the ground and turned towards the way I came. I put my back to the wall, slowly start walking forward, pacing my steps evenly, counting each with a letter as I always did. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I drew an X with the sole of my shoe on the dirt floor. I took a step back and drove the shovel into ground I had just marked. Every other girl in class thought you were handsome. You're such a pretty boy, Patrick. Pretty Patrick is what they call you. They said if you wore a dress, you could have easily been a girl. No, you were too handsome to be a girl. The dirt beneath my feet became moister as I dug farther into the earth. The hardened soil soon broke away to softened mud. Much easier to dig up. Much easier to get to what I wanted. By the end of the day, I had said nothing to you. Not a word. Unacceptable, if you ask me. So when I saw you walking in the direction of my house, I decided to walk with you. Oh, we hit it off great. We were like two peas in a pod. You liked blue, I liked red. I liked cats, but you were allergic. Your favorite food was pizza, but I'm lactose intolerant. We would have gotten along great. Thud. The metal of my shovel had hit something. I stopped and tossed the shovel out of the hole I had dug around me. I got on my knees and started to push back the dirt that lay underneath me, blocking me from seeing what I wanted. When we reached my house, I asked you to come in and play. And you did. So I showed you to my room. But when you saw my dollies, my beautiful headless dollies, you called me a freak. A freak! Just like all the rest. You weren't nice and sweet like everyone said. You were ugly. You were ugly and hurtful, just like the rest. The world didn't need any more people like you. You tried to run away, to get out, like the rest. But you tripped. That's right, you tripped and fell on my rocking horse. You fell 4 times. There was nothing I could do. I finally reached the wooden crate. I reached out of the hole and grabbed the box marked with a red P. I opened it and pulled out a bundle of newspaper clippings about a missing 12-year-old boy. Then I reached down to open the wooden crate. I looked at the picture of the beautiful blonde-haired, green-eyed boy in the picture, and then at the contents of the crate. Most of your hair was gone by now. The eyes had been eaten by maggots and worms. The skin that had not rotted away was shriveled up, nearly exposing to the bone. I smiled. Not so pretty now, are you? I stood above the crate, looking through the clippings in my hand and back the remains left in the crate. I closed up the crate and put the clippings back in the box, filled the hole back up. When I was done, I put the shovel in its spot against the wall and made my way back towards the other end of the basement. I placed the box back onto the shelf, between the box marked with an O and the one marked with a Q. I walked to the racks and pulled off the dress, placing it back on the hanger between the other red outfits. I climbed over the pile of old toys and made it back to the stairs. I reached for the chain that turned on the light just an hour before. I turned off the light and walked upstairs. Good night, Patrick. See you next year.